Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spotlight on Security Tech Insights. Today, we have a really exciting topic. We're going to talk about security predictions in tech for the new year. So, this means that we're going to dive into what we think we're seeing from an industry perspective and share those thoughts with you, as well as leave you with some key considerations for your business planning in the new year. My name is Theresa Miller. I am the director of the technical advocacy group here at Cohesity. And today I am joined by one of my favorite industry experts who's going to go ahead and introduce herself.
I'm Phoummala Schmitt, also known as Exchange Goddess out there on the Twitters. I have been in the industry for 20 years. Wow, I can't believe I actually said that out loud. I feel old now. But yeah, my background is hardcore infrastructure, data center, a little bit of security that, shifted into more of a cloud focus. So I've pretty much done almost everything. I even said the line, cut the hard line during a worm attack in one of my organizations. So I can proudly say I was able to say that, and it actually stopped. Yeah, when you actually pull the plug, nothing goes through, right?
That's
So
awesome.
thank you for having me, Teresa. It's actually been a while since we got to chat.
I know, I know. I'm glad we're getting to do this today.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in. Let's go ahead. You've put together some great predictions today. And let's go ahead. What is your first prediction around security for 2023?
Attack of the bots. Elon wants to get rid of bots, right? Bots are more than just on Twitter. They are everywhere and they're increasing. They're attacking large organizations, financial industries, healthcare, mom and pop shops. They're even after our phones, right? All those automated calls that we're getting from Poland, Europe, somewhere. I'm like, I don't call there. Those are all bots. So we're going to see an increase attack vector, and they're coming for the small people. We've got data. While we may not think our data is important, one man's junk is someone's treasure, right? Data is valuable to somebody, so we're definitely going to see an increase uh, uh, attack with the bots.
I think it's really interesting that you mentioned that. So you really made an interesting point around um, the value of data and what might actually be behind even the smallest of businesses.
Yep.
Um, One of the things that I've seen an uptick in and personally experienced, even is just an attack on a blog. And one thinks, oh, where's the value in a blog? My blog was attacked over the new year, and there's really no data. But I think what they're going after, because everything's public, right?
Yep.
They're probably going after passwords, and it is
Mhm.
being done in an automated fashion. I was able to get it back online after picking at it for several weeks, and with a different set of tool sets in place, I can see that for whatever reason this is fun for somebody, and even though there's really nothing to gain from my perspective, um, because everything is so locked down, it,
Yeah.
it,
So
it seems to be interesting to them.
So what you experience, organizations are going to see an increase in that, right?
Mhm.
So if they don't have the proper tools to protect themselves or even to assess that they've been attacked, some have ever been attacked and they don't even know it, right?
Mhm.
We're going to see also an increase in like outsourcing of security assessments to to check, hey, maybe I've already been breached and I don't know it. You should assume that you have been breached. At the rate that these bots are attacking us, let's just make that assumption. I mean, the fact that they're just coming after our phones, small shops, a minor blog, like you said, what data do they want? They want data. And somewhere someone's mining that data, cross-referencing probably, the passwords. Somewhere somebody's doing something with it. So it's all relative. So once we have an increase in attacks, we're going to see organizations, try to figure out how, am I being attacked? So that assessment is going to increase. So we're going to see more increasing outsourcing of security assessments. Great for that business, right?
For sure, for sure.
So what do you think the next trend is going to be, Teresa?
Yeah, so cyber recovery is,
Oh gosh, that's a great that is a great one. Uh, Cyber recovery, because most organizations, when they think of recovery, they think of, just DR, if I recover from a major disaster, but are they really thinking cyber disaster, cyber recovery? And that's a whole different, spectrum to think about. Like, are you protecting your vault? Is your vault protected? That's the vault of your backup data or your data in general. How do you recover from that? If you actually do recover from it,
well, and do
there's a
you have
lot.
a vault?
Yeah.
Is it immutable? Is it truly isolated from network? Because we know that cyber threats can attack backups and they can infiltrate that data if you have the wrong tool set
Well,
deployed.
remember when someone said backups are dead, tape backups are dead? Are they really dead?
You need an air gapped option to be successful in this landscape. Again, with that immutability, it's critical. So, to me, when I look at this prediction, Phoummala, I think reevaluating your tools
Hmm.
is really important because the decisions that you made to protect your data even a year or two ago, they're probably already outdated just because of the advancements in the attack landscape
Well,
and vector.
yeah, I mean, you've hit it right there, right? Technology moves so fast in our industry that what people wrote 6 months ago to a year, is that valid? Because your business is constantly evolving. So that recovery plan should be regularly checked and tested. Are you actually testing your recovery plan? Are you going through the exercise to pretend that something has happened? Which, then makes you wonder, are people or organizations being more reactive versus proactive? But I think with this cyber recovery trends, we're going to see organizations really take that next step and be proactive because one, they're already assuming that I've been attacked with all these bots, right? It's just more
Mhm.
awareness.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, let's talk about maybe another prediction, Pumala. Do you have another one that we should talk about today?
Oh, well, a little closer to my heart since I I currently work at Vanguard. I'm a senior cloud architect there in the multi-cloud program. So I think multi-cloud and security is going to be a huge trend, not just multi-cloud in general, but securing your multiple clouds, understanding that traffic between your clouds, inside each cloud, what it's doing, being proactive, reactive, making sure that you know what's going on, visibility. Because if you don't know what's happening between all these clouds, how do you really respond to an incident once it's happened? How do you prepare?
I think that's really interesting too, because it's so easy to go out and use a credit card um, to maybe get a login to a cloud. So how are organizations taking what they don't know? Can they secure that, Pumala?
Well, I'm not going to name vendor names because we're keeping everything agnostic, right? So I
Right.
just actually attended a Cloud Field Day, actually Cloud Field Day 16 this past Wednesday. So shout out to the Cloud Field Day people. But there were two vendors that focused on just network security, right?
Okay.
Identifying what your traffic patterns were. Now, some of them weren't mitigation, but it was visibility. So when you want to mitigate something that's happening, obviously, you could use another tool or you'll have some other process to address those concerns. But it comes into to being, to planning and being proactive. But you have to actually see what's going on and understand, what's happening in your environment, because you don't know what you don't know. But once you know it, you're able to respond appropriately.
Mhm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm just trying to think in terms of keeping track. I think monitoring is critical. But also thinking back to what we've talked about in our past predictions already, the couple we've talked about, there's a theme. These things overlap with each other, right?
Yeah,
So
they do.
we're preparing ourselves for being attacked in an automated fashion because they want our data. Cyber recovery is going to be more critical than ever because these attacks are more successful. They're getting in. And we need to look at our tool sets at many levels, right? It's not just recovery, it's security tools, it's network level, because of the complexity of our environments, including the fact that we have many clouds. So I find it extremely um, interesting, right? It's not that these stand on their own. They're really part of a theme.
Well, you're going to see organizations really come together when it comes to security. Security just isn't, at the end of the project, right? It is the forefront, or should be the forefront of app development. And any new projects that you're going to onboard into your organization, security representatives should be at the table. It should be right there. It should just be part, I don't say part of IT, but it should be part of your planning and architecture. Because once you have that right, up in the front, it just naturally flows. You're protected. Because how often do we, you know, um, bring up POCs and new environments, and usually security is at the tail end. Oh, we'll poke holes. We'll get this through because we gotta test things, right? How often do we actually go back and clean that stuff up?
Mm-hmm.
And then security does an audit, and it's like, oh, Swiss cheese on a network, fix this. We we're going to see organizations just include them as part of, any program that's going to come up, any project. Um, just, I can't talk about like what we do internally at Vanguard, but I've experienced it in other organizations where I'm onboarding new stuff. First, first thing I say is let's get security on board, because we need to protect our data, because at the end of the day it's always about the data, whether how small it is, because somebody out there wants it, and we have to assume that they're going to come and get it from us. So if we don't have security working with us, what's the point then, right? Because we've just pretty much left a hole. So we're going to see organizations really come together and I don't say form an alliance, but be collaborative about it. While it may slow some things down, it's all about protecting your data, which then, leads up to the next prediction that I think we talked about offline, but uh, incident response,
Mm-hmm.
because we already are assuming that we've been attacked. We're going to see organizations really step up their game when it comes to incident response. It's not just about, oh, everybody get in the call, right? We've got a security issue. We've been breached. Been attacked. Customer data. Like, we're going to step up our game. You're going to see organizations step up their game because customers want that. They need that. They need that transparency, and quickly, because it's their data too. So organizations are really going to, have to look at their incident response plans and see if all the appropriate people are at the table when it's happening. Do we have legal? Do we have, comms, PR teams? More than just security, right? And then operations. Like, everyone needs to be there, because at the end of the day, you've got to protect your data, but you've got to be transparent to your customers.
Yeah, in terms of incident response too, I think one of the critical things that you mentioned is having a plan. But do organizations have a plan? I think you need to step back and look at it again, and make sure it's the right plan because
Yes.
right, like we talked about, things have changed so much in the last year or two that you really can't assume that what you have laid out is enough. Now, the other piece I want to mention too, I think that we're seeing is that your IT operations team and your SecOps teams are working closer together. And sometimes that even means that incident response is about pulling in a third party to have that unbiased and probably more powerful tool set of analysis to really understand what happened.
Hmm. Well, you may even see an increase in instant response drills going through those exercises. If you practice it and it actually happens, you're going to be right on top of things, right? Things aren't going to fall through the cracks. Especially if you are preparing a statement to the public, go through those drills, practice it, assume, pretend, hey, we've been attacked. How do we respond to this? Go through, once, every few months, a quarter, do a quarterly check. Is this the way is this responding in the, best appropriate way? And this is where, like you said, that third party gives an unbiased approach and gives a thumbs up or you may need to, revise this.
Is there a PR element to incident response?
I feel there should be. There definitely should be a PR. You've got to be transparent to your customers. Otherwise, there will be backlash to you. I mean, we've seen it already with some of the vendors that have had data breaches, and some of them didn't quite respond the way customers wanted, right? Some of
Mhm.
it was brushed off, like, oh yeah, it's no big deal. Wasn't any passwords or anything, but it still was a breach. Regardless if it was important information, it still was a breach. Should always assume that somebody cares about that data, especially if it's my data, right? Your customer data. I don't care if a password was stolen or not, but my name was taken from there. Maybe
Right.
my address, like that's stuff that's important to me. So organizations should never assume that it's not important data. Any data that's been breached is important. And
Yeah,
so that PR aspect is critical.
I agree. All right, so let's look towards summarizing things a little bit here. So, Pumala, what should businesses be considering in their 2023 planning as a whole? How would you approach that high level?
Definitely go through your incident response, your cyber recovery if you have one. If you don't, start working on it and fine tune it, test it, validate that it's appropriate for now versus 6 months, a year, 2, 3 years. Validate your vaults. Do you have a vault? Just more of the validation, but also being proactive as well.
That's such great advice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Pumala, for joining me today to talk about predictions for the new year with the security focus. And thank you to everyone who joined us for another episode of Spotlight on Security Tech Insights.
Awesome. Thank you.